developer advocate from Google, Fred Thor.
Konnichiwa. In early 2008, we launched our distributed computing platform, Google App Engine. We promised to make it easy for you to develop and deploy your applications to the cloud. We wanted developers like you to be able to focus on writing web applications, not worrying about the hassles of production app deployment. In the past 2.5 years, we've seen significant growth in App Engine adoption. You can see from this traffic graph what our history has looked like. In just the last week, 130,000 active applications have served over 5.5 billion page views. 5.5 billion. That's a really significant number. Now, that traffic is really exciting, but I'm also very excited to tell you today that Japan is, by country, the second largest source of that App Engine traffic. So, just like Tim, I'd like to give you a little round of applause. Thank you for that. Now, this traffic growth is thanks to the 90,000 active developers that are building their applications on App Engine. Many of those developers who have built very successful applications are, of course, right here in the audience with us today. That's a wonderful success story for Japan. So I'd like to take a moment and talk about 2 more Japanese success stories. The first comes from the EchoPoint system. While the system was built with cloud services from various vendors, it's thanks to Google App Engine that we're able to launch the service very quickly. And we're really happy that App Engine was able to be a part of this and is able to support the environment. The second story that I want to tell you about comes from Mixi and a few of the sponsors of the FIFA World Cup. They developed and co-hosted an application called Mixi Fest. This application allows users to view the FIFA World Cup with their friends. Now, these developers, they didn't have to worry about configuring servers. They didn't have to think about how many servers their application needed. They didn't have to be concerned with how much traffic App Engine was going to have to serve. App Engine handled the configuration for them. App Engine handled the servers for them. And of course, App Engine handled the traffic for them. Now, fun applications like this, they really make your users smile. When you're able to provide these applications and build them and deploy them easily to the cloud, hopefully that makes you smile. And of course, being able to provide a platform for you to deliver these applications to your users, that makes us smile. But what about this man? He's not smiling. He's having a pretty bad day, actually. Many IT managers like him have tens, hundreds, sometimes even thousands of applications to manage and support. That's a really tough job. There are so many servers and configurations to keep track of, so many licenses to manage. There's so many problems and worries for him every single day. So we asked ourselves, what could we do to make this man smile again? What could we do to make App Engine work really well for businesses? So in May of this year, we announced a new edition of App Engine, Google App Engine for Business. This is the same scalable hosting platform with the same promise. Let businesses focus on writing applications, not the hassles of app production deployment, server management, and traffic planning. Google App Engine for Business includes key features such as hosted SQL, a formal service level agreement, or SLA, and premium developer support. It includes straightforward pricing based on your needs. We created a domain console so that you can manage all of your applications in one place. Using the console, you can configure and enforce the security policies in your domain. Now, we talked to many of you, and you told us that oftentimes 60% of your IT budgets are spent keeping the lights on. 60%. That's an amazing statistic. 60% of your IT resources are committed to keeping existing servers running. Not innovation, not anything new, not new projects, just keeping existing servers running. Now, you have tens, hundreds, and thousands of applications perhaps to manage, and Google App Engine would really like to lower that overhead to almost nothing so that you can focus on writing applications instead of keeping those systems running. At Google, we care a great deal about productivity and innovation. We would like to help you. Today, only 40% of your IT resources are available for this innovation. Wouldn't it be great if you could take 100% of that budget and you could use it to implement your innovative ideas? Would that make you smile? Now, App Engine allows you to innovate more quickly. Meanwhile, the platform itself is constantly innovating with new features and new capabilities, which are available to all users of Google App Engine, both for consumer applications and IT business use cases. Just last month, we introduced a new multi-tenancy capability, thanks to the Namespaces API. But here are some of the things that we're working on next, and we're pretty excited about these. In July, we announced the Mapper API. And this was our first major step towards providing full MapReduce distributed computation on App Engine. I think you'll find it pretty interesting. Thanks to the Mapper API, or the Channel API, we're giving you a new way for your applications to interact with your users in real time, thanks to browser push. Now, these are really exciting features, and we have a lot more to come. But what I'd like to talk about are the applications that you have built. Many of you have built really great applications. I said earlier that Japan was the second largest source of App Engine traffic, and that's thanks to those applications that you have built. It's thanks to meetup groups like App Engine Ja Night, which meets right here in Tokyo every month. It's due to the extensive libraries and frameworks built by expert Japanese developers. It's thanks to the amazing community that has formed itself around this promise of app deployment without all the hassles. Now, we recently hired one of the leading App Engine API experts in the community, Matsuo Takahashi. Matsuo-san is the first App Engine developer advocate that we've hired outside of the US. And that's really exciting because it means we'll be able to work more closely with the Japanese developer and business communities. Now, I've told you how App Engine allows you to innovate and iterate more quickly, while the platform itself is constantly iterating and innovating. But you might be asking yourself, is it safe to invest in the cloud, or will I be locked in? We know that cloud portability is really important to your business. And portability is all about open standards. In practical terms, it really means two things. First, the ability to take your data with you. Of course, any data that you store in App Engine is yours. And we'll help you export and delete that data if you so choose. But portability is also about being able to deploy your app to any cloud based on open standards. So when we built Google App Engine, we made sure that wherever possible, we built it based on existing open standards. Whether you're accessing an SQL database or interacting with a web service, You can deploy your applications to the Google Cloud or to another cloud based on open standards. Now, we wanted to do more. We wanted the tools themselves to actually enable this deployment, this portability. So we collaborated with some of the open source leaders at VMware, who have created some of the largest business developer frameworks in the enterprise. Our collaboration began when we realized that we each had built tools that would go even better with the other. Sort of the way that milk and cookies go better with each other. If you have a stack of cookies, it really goes down better with a glass of milk. And to be frank, a glass of milk could really use a stack of cookies next to it. The products that I'm referring to are, of course, Google Web Toolkit, which enables you to easily build rich web application front ends in Java, and SpringRoo, which makes it easy for you to build business application backends. To kind of show you some of the work that we've collaborated on and some of the progress that we've made, please help me welcome the founder of SpringRoo, Senior Staff Engineer, Ben Alex from VMware. Ben?
Thank you. Hello. So it was about a year ago that the engineers at VMware and Google got together, and we've been working on a large number of initiatives to make this cloud portability story real. Some of the things we've already accomplished include production time monitoring, development time tracing, and making our various Eclipse technologies work nicely together. But what I wanted to show you today was the work we've done with SpringRoo, and making SpringRoo support Google App Engine and Google Web Toolkit. By way of introduction, SpringRoo is a rapid application development tool for Java developers. With Roo, you can build an enterprise application in just a couple of minutes. Today, I'm going to be building you an expense management application that you can file your expense claims with. We're going to be building it from scratch, and it will only take a few minutes to get started. So here I have an empty directory, and I load Roo just by typing Roo and pressing enter. One of the key goals of Roo was to ensure that we have a very high level of usability. To this end, we have support for tab completion, and we have a lot of hint infrastructure. So if you don't know how to use Roo, you just type hint and press enter. And based on your project's current status, Roo will offer you step-by-step hints. As per the screen, it's suggesting that I use the project command. I then use the tab key, and because we're making an expense tracking application, I just give it a suitable Java package name. We've now created our project. We use the hint command again, and this time we're being guided through installing persistence into the application. To do that, I use persistent setup, and I press tab. I'm going to use data nucleus today, and I'm going to use hypersonic in memory. You'll notice that Google App Engine is listed as an option. This illustrates some of the cloud portability that we have built in. We can start building this application using a normal relational database we might have available in our enterprise, but then we can switch to Google App Engine easily later on. And at the end of the demo, I'll show you how to do that. So we've now installed persistence. Next, we need to create some entities. Again, hint will assist us doing that. An entity generally correlates to a database table. So because this is an expense reporting application, the first entity is going to be employee. Notice how I've put it in the server package. This is in accordance with normal GWT programming conventions because this is a server-side object. We're now going to add some fields. We'll start with a username. And we can also specify various JSR 303 parameters. So the Java Bean validation API is built into Roo. Here I'm saying that the username field must be at least 3 characters long. We can use the up arrow, and we can add a department field. And then we can also refer to other entities in the system. So on this occasion, I'm going to allow the employee supervisor to be tracked. So we've created our first entity. Let's go and create an entity to represent the actual expense report. So we'll have a date field to store the date the expense report was created. And we'll have a reference field back to whoever was the employee that created it. And let's create our final entity, an actual expense line item. We'll have to store the number for the actual amount, which will be a double. We'll have to store some sort of description of the expense line item, and then we'll have to associate it back to the actual report. Great. So we've now created our domain model with 3 different entities, each containing some fields. I could stop using Roo at this point and I'd still have a JPA-based application that I can go and use, but we don't have any kind of web user interface yet. Roo supports a number of different web user interfaces, but we'd like to show you the GWT support today, so let's install that. To add GWT to this application, we just type GWT setup, and Roo will not only install GWT, but it will set up scaffolded entities. So we've now done it. I started this same application up earlier to save a little bit of time during the demo, and we can have a look at what the generated application looks like. Here we have a data browser. We can see our 3 entities on the left-hand side, and we can navigate through them. So we can create an employee. Create another employee. It's the normal master detail style, so we can go in and we can edit these if we wish to. We can go and create an expense report. We have support for the date widgets. These are using, by the way, all of the new features that are present in GWT 2.1. And then we can add some line items to our expense. Okay, so you've seen that we have a basic application, we have persistence fully working, and we're using all the latest GWT 2.1 features. But in practice, this isn't a full application. We're going to need to do some more development to make this application finished. To this end, we have SpringSource Tool Suite. SpringSource Tool Suite is our free IDE, which is based on Eclipse. And as part of our work with Google, we've added the Google plugin for Eclipse into this IDE. This IDE also supports the Roo shell, which we can see down at the bottom. If you have a look at the expense track project we created a moment ago, you can see it has the normal structure of a GWT application. We have the server package, and we have the normal GWT client packages. Here we have one of the UI binder XML files, and as you can see, we have the 3 fields which are specific to the employee edit use case. Because Roo is built into SpringSource Tool Suite, I can continue to iteratively develop. I don't need to use the Roo command line to make changes to my entities. I just did that earlier to show you that you can. More commonly, you'll just go and edit your Java files directly. So if we go and add a new field into employee, watch what happens when I save. So once I save, Roo does some work, which we saw down at the bottom. And over here in this file, we can see that we now have a comment field. So Roo automatically maintains the UI binder files, as well as all the server-side logic and the client-side GWT code that's necessary. You might be wondering, well, how do you get this onto App Engine? Well, if we go back to the earlier project we were working on, we can turn this into a Google App Engine project very easily. We just redo the persistent setup command. This time we specify Google App Engine, and then we specify an application ID, and whichever application ID we've been assigned by App Engine. So this application is now ready to be deployed to App Engine. If I wanted to deploy it to App Engine, I just need to use GAE deploy, and it would be uploaded automatically. I've done that already, and I've also shown you the outcome if you did a few more days of iterative development on this application. As you can see from the URL, this is running live on App Engine, so you can go and try this yourself. This application is a ROO application. It's a GWT application. It's using all of the new GWT 2.1 features. It has some nice support for transitions, so you can jump around like that. You can perform editing. We can go back. We can drill into the individual departments. We can also do searches. Notice how we have as you type search with color highlighting. And it's got a very nice, snappy user interface. It's very fast, despite the fact, as you can see, there's some 6 million records in the system. So we have really good support for pagination in the default application design. Not only could you have deployed this to Google App Engine, but you could have deployed it to other clouds as well. For example, you could have deployed this same application to VMforce, which is another VMware-based cloud. You'll also be able to deploy it onto your on-premise clouds, which are currently being developed. What I've shown you today is how you can start from an empty directory, and you can build an entire application in just a couple of minutes. It only takes a few days to turn that initial scaffolded application into something like you're seeing here. I hope you have a chance to check out SpringRoo and GWT and App Engine. Thanks very much.